Hey guys, this is Dave from Orchids and Fynbos, and today I'm going to be bringing you another CareCollab video. So in case any of you don't know, the CareCollab videos have been started by Nina from Ninja Orchids, and essentially all of us come together from around the world to share a care collaboration video about the same orchid at the same time in our different regions to compare and see how the orchids are doing. The other growers joining on the care collaboration are Plants and Other Things, Michelle Life on Repeat, Attainable Green, and also Ninja Orchids. So today I'm going to be generally speaking about my Zygopetalums. So this is a Zygopetalum care collaboration video, and you guys are probably wondering, but look at those Zygopetalums on the left hand side. They look horrible. What have you done, and how can you be doing a care collab video? Well, I decided I'm going to share with you what not to do with Zygopetalums. As you can see, I've had some success stories on the right, but I will be sharing with you my experience with them. I've really struggled, and I partly put it down to the climate because it seems to be the only real orchid, apart from these, might I add, which I seem to really struggle with. And yeah, so I just wanted to share some experience and some things that I've noted and why I think I'm having the issues that I'm having. Okay, so let's start. So I'm going to be chatting briefly about the Zygopetalum sub-tribe in general. So the Zygopetalinae, I think it's called. We have the Promenaea here in the middle. I want to discuss something about that as well because I've seen some similarities with regards to these orchids. So let's backtrack. I think probably about 3 years ago when I got this orchid on the left hand side. It's now divided into two orchids. I was in a place which didn't have a lot of light, so I was trying to grow them in the living room in bright light conditions, much like what you see now in front of you is pretty much how I was trying to grow them a few years ago, which wasn't bad to start with, but I definitely could see the angles of the growth and stuff. They definitely were growing sideways, so they were growing towards the light, so I knew that the light requirements needed to be increased. I tried to then put them on the windowsill. There was quite a bit of success initially when it was the winter time. So we had quite a bright light. I think I had a sheer curtain in front, so it was almost direct, but it was obviously protected by the curtain. And what ended up happening is these Zygopetalums seemed to thrive in that condition. I also chatted to the grower at the time where I bought the Zygopetalums from, and they said they grow Zygopetalums in pretty much Cymbidium light, along with all the other Cymbidiums in the greenhouse, and they do really well. So fast forward a little bit, then where I was staying, I then started struggling a bit with the light, especially in summer. It started to get very hot, and the speckling, as you can see on the leaves over here, I'll put in some close-up shots of that, started to occur on the leaves. So then I started to know they were going a bit sideways and there were issues, and then it went further down when it started to get mealybug and all kinds of things, because mealybug for some reason, along with scale, are attracted to the orchids that are not happy in your collection. So yeah, so I could clearly see there started to be an issue with the orchids. So I tried to adjust the conditions again, and then we subsequently moved to this premises that we're at now. And I've actually initially put them in the greenhouse in the winter. Difficult to say if there was any change, because remember we just moved and orchids generally don't like to be moved. So it's difficult to say whether there was an initial change in their status. But basically what started to happen was it started to get too hot in the greenhouse, and I realized, nope, this is not the ideal area for it. I think one of the new growths also rotted off around about the spring period. So I ended up moving them indoors into my grow room that I have now in front of the window again. There, things have just been pretty much stable. They haven't changed much. They had a repeat episode with the mealybug, and that brings us to where they are now. So it's difficult to say as well, because when you set back an orchid, it takes a long time to obviously get back to where it was. But at the same time, it's difficult once an orchid is set back to know what you are doing right and what you are doing wrong, because it's been set back. So it takes some time to regain itself, and by that time you only later on start to realize, okay, no, this is the wrong position or that's the right position. And you also don't want to move the orchids too much. So what I ended up doing is buying more Zygopetalums. And then obviously with healthier ones, I could then kind of figure out what's right and what's wrong. So then came the one in the middle, in the clay pot. That one has done pretty well. Funny enough, it was in the greenhouse, and it did well over there through the winter, and then also through the summer. It's done pretty well. I think I got this one about last year, winter time or autumn time. Sorry. So yeah, that one's done pretty well. Again, in the heat of summer, it started losing its growths again. You will start to see a pattern here. So I had to repot it, take the dead stuff off, and it also ended up getting attacked by mealybug. Again, see the pattern. Then moving on to the right hand side, which is the little bit more, I would say, of a success story, I'm saying for now. I got that one about autumn last year, so it's been in my collection about a year now, and that one seems to be a bit more stable. You can obviously see the tips of the leaves here are also starting to show some signs, but they started and they stopped. So I kind of started thinking, well, what did I do differently with this one? And I started to notice a few similarities. And it mainly came after I started realizing stuff with the Promenaea. So I was like, in winter it's very humid, it's cold, but I do have a heater in the greenhouse, so it's pretty much about 15, around 14 is the lowest it gets, I would say, in winter when I have the heater. So this one was in the greenhouse, was doing really, really well, very happy, throwing out a lot of new growths. And then summer came along and things started going downhill a bit, and I noticed that it wasn't very happy. So I was like, okay, greenhouse too hot for it, let's move it into the current room that we're in now, put it on the shelf there, and I left it and then watered it regularly and all of that type of stuff. Then I started noticing it was decreasing further, it wasn't getting better. So I was like, so something's wrong in this room that we're in now. So I was like, okay, cool, well, it's not happy here, let's put it back in the greenhouse and let's just try and water it more frequently. And within the week or so it was in the greenhouse, as you can see the black tips on the edge of the new growth. I will take a picture and insert that for you. That started happening, which is very similar to what you see on the Zygopetalums. So I was like, okay, this is heat. It's definitely not liking the heat in the greenhouse. So pretty much, as I said, within a few days, a lot of the bulbs a lot of the new growths turned brown, or they got the brown markings on the leaves. So I was like, okay, cool, take it out. I can't put it in this room because the same thing was happening. So I put it downstairs in our kitchen, which has an open window constantly. This room, by the way, does have ventilation and open windows, but it gets very, very hot because the sun shines on the window and warms up the room. Although it doesn't get a lot of direct light, it is a very warm room. Through winter, through summer, it's now moving into autumn, but it's getting cooler outside, but it's still hot in this room. So moved it downstairs into the kitchen. It doesn't really get hot at all in the kitchen, although the lighting is the same. It's literally just below this room. But yeah, it doesn't get as hot in the kitchen. And the Promenaea stopped losing leaves. Exactly where you see the dead leaves on the, or the dead parts of the leaves, that stopped in its tracks. It didn't go further. So I was like, Promenaeas hate heat. So when I say heat, I'm talking about probably close on 30, maybe 28, 29, and I would say over, definitely over. So I had days, as I said, I have days in the greenhouse where it's 40, and in the shade area where this would be sitting, I'll probably be about 35. So it's warm in there, very warm. And I've noticed they do not like it. So stopped that with the Promenaea. Then I was, someone said I was reading up about Promenaeas, and they said, I think it was on the AOS website, they said, if you grow Zygopetalums well, you will do very well with Promenaea. So I was like, this makes a lot of sense now. So then I started looking towards my Zygopetalums, because I'm like, if I can get the Promenaea to grow well, surely then I can get the Zygopetalum to grow well the same way. So I started looking at my other Zygopetalum that's doing so well. And interestingly enough, the Zygopetalum's been sitting in the bathroom. We decided, we'll put it over there, it looks nice there. Probably not the best conditions for it, but I just decided it's nice and green and let's just put it in the bathroom. Now the bathroom gets early morning sun, direct sunlight. That plant gets direct sunlight for, I would say, max till about 10 o'clock in the morning. So it's early morning, very early morning, from about, in summer it can be anywhere from about 6, 7, and then all the way to 10. But obviously the warmth of that sun's probably only really starts at about 8, 9. So yes, there is some warmth there in the morning, but it's just for that period. Then the sun passes over and it is very, very bright in the bathroom, but no direct sunlight whatsoever. Bathroom being a bathroom, running water, showers and all of that, yes, there's steam and there's that type of stuff at certain points, but it will never be that hot, dry air that you get from the sun. So yeah, at the end of the day, the bathroom for most parts of the day ends up being a cooler place and also a more humid place. So I've kind of established between the bathroom, between the kitchen, and if we look at those conditions, they're pretty much closer to each other, a lot cooler than this grow room and the greenhouse. And the greenhouse is obviously a lot hotter than all of them. I do, as I said, still grow some of my orchids in this room that won't survive in the greenhouse because it gets too hot there, but a lot of them do still do very well. But obviously Zygopetalums and Promenaeas need a slightly different type of care. So again, it's not to say I can't have them in these rooms, but then I need to adjust my care routine with them. Plastic pots are probably not the best in the summer because obviously plastic in itself sweats and can get very hot. Whereas with the clay pots, they breathe, and because of the cooling effect of clay, it just seems to be somewhat better. Whereas the plastic kind of creates this greenhouse warm and sweaty environment, and they don't seem to appreciate that. Don't treat these orchids as Cattleya types. I tend to treat a lot more of my orchids closer on the Cattleya type because I'm a person that likes to do a less watering and more rely on the bulb to kind of rejuvenate itself. I tend not to overwater because I am worried to, saturate the roots and then have a situation with this root rot. So I tend to underwater more, and usually most of the orchids bounce back, or you don't even notice it because I water them just at that point when they're just starting to shrivel. Well, I can't seem to do that with these Zygopetalums because they don't like that at all, especially not in the hot rooms and the hot areas. So again, if this goes along with a lot of what's been said online, where you need to not have them standing in water but water them regularly, and also a lot of ventilation, cool air, things like that. It goes along with the same type of thing. And funny enough, this is the same issue I had when I started growing Deezers. Also, you need to give them a high light requirement, but at the same time they can't get too hot, otherwise they wilt, and this is exactly what's happening here. It's pretty much a wilt effect. They get these spots, and then because I think the cells in the leaf start to die and things like that, and they don't appreciate it. So yeah, so that's my thoughts on Zygopetalums and how I've been dealing with them. All of them at the moment have new growths, so I will probably be able to do an update at some point to see how they're going. My plans for these going forward, the Promenaea is not moving. It's staying exactly where it is probably for a year now. Even if it looks like it's starting to go down for some reason at some point, I'm not moving it. I've realized moving orchids, unless there's an issue, is not a good thing. And now I know that that's the best place for it, so I'm not going to move it. The one that's in the bathroom on the right hand side, probably not going to move that either. It's doing well. Why would I move it? Makes no sense. The one in the clay pot's currently in the greenhouse, so for winter, honestly, I'm probably going to leave it in the greenhouse, even though it might not be the ideal area for it. In winter, it doesn't get too hot there. It's managed the summer right now with the clay pots, so I'm going to continue that method. The two on the left hand side in the plastic pots in the current room where they are now, they've been there, as I've said, for a year. They've improved a little, but at the same time I am worried about us moving now into winter, because where they are, they will get direct sunlight in winter, obviously again blocked by the sheer curtain. But I don't think that's the best condition for it right now, so I might be experimenting with them again. Maybe I'll move one and leave one where it is and see how that works. Because I am also kind of erring on the side of not moving it, because again, moving it and it's set back, so we'll see what happens. But yeah, I'll definitely be able to give you an update with regards to the Zygopetalums. I've got 3 of them. And yeah, I will show you blooms of the one on the left hand side. I already have a video of that. Look on my channel, I have a video of that Zygopetalum in flower. It's one with the macro lens that I've used to show you the blooms. It's quite pretty. And then also at that time I had a praying mantis which happened to be living around there, so that's also in that video. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you would like to see more of my videos, please click the subscribe button. Also, don't forget to tick the bell notification so that you're notified when I post more videos. And then don't forget again to check the other growers mentioned down in the description for the Zygopetalum video. I will definitely be going over to their channel to check their videos to see if I can see any more care tips or any ideas or things that I can maybe change for some of the orchids, and also to learn from their experiences. As I said, I'm not the expert on Zygos. I can only tell you what not to do that I've experienced. So thanks guys, have a good time, bye.